I'm Laura Noel, and it has been a while since you've seen my face. Surprise! I'm pregnant! As I am filming this today, I am actually 16 weeks along, but I'm going to just do the first trimester recap, highlights, kind of the major things. For those who have followed our family for a while, I do have a 6-year-old daughter, and I shared a lot of her pregnancy here 6 years ago, but things got a little bit crazy. Because I had a Crohn's diagnosis and a fibromyalgia diagnosis, I was not sure that I wanted to have another pregnancy. So for a while we debated whether she would be an only child. And then we went down an adoption journey that ended in a lot of heartache and just very, very stressful. And then we decided to see if another pregnancy was in the cards for us. It ended up being a year and just dealing with a lot of emotions because I never thought that I would experience infertility. We got pregnant very easily the first time, so it was not something that I expected to experience. And so going through that year-long journey of testing and I ended up seeing a naturopath, and she put me on like 14 supplements, and it was intense and it was difficult, and we found out that I had a hormone imbalance and we had to take care of that, and it was a lot of stress. I'm trying to conceive was very stressful. I took ovulation tests and I did everything. I did charting and temping and checking ferning and everything, and I think I put so much stress and emotion into it that I was actually prohibiting my body from doing what it's supposed to do. As we were hitting about the year mark exactly, I decided to just take a month off, and I was still temping just so that I would be able to confirm ovulation. And I am aware of my fertile signs, but I wasn't taking ovulation tests or fretting about the details. And there you go. It worked. Around 90 PO that month, I wasn't even planning to take a test. I had taken so many tests throughout the last year, and I was like, it's nothing. But I felt randomly nauseous after eating breakfast, and I was like, I wonder if I'm pregnant. But it was just kind of a passing thought. But the next day at 10 DPO, I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'll just take a test. Why not? And I took a test, and I had actually forgotten about it, and I came back about a half an hour later, which you're not supposed to do, but there was a very faint line. So I still actually had my cup of pee there. So I put 3 more tests in, and every single test came back with a very, very, very faint line. So it was an absolute shock. I did not expect it at all to happen, and it was a very happy surprise for us. But very early on, I knew that I wanted to do things a little bit differently this pregnancy than last. I've done a lot of research over the last few years and realized that there were a lot of things that I didn't know back then and I wish I had known. So it's kind of my chance to take care of myself better and advocate for myself better, because I realized that my last pregnancy was very, very medicalized, and I was kind of pushed into high risk, even though I really wasn't. So this time around, things are very different. So I will get into that in a little bit. But the first trimester kind of week by week highlights, I've got my notes here. Week 3 to 5, my symptoms were pretty much just bloating, tired, insomnia, and a little bit of cramping. By week 6, I was queasy at lunch and bedtime, and I was getting hormonal headaches, and I started to wear maternity clothes because, nothing touching the belly. I was getting nauseous, so it was gross. Now, at that point, I decided early on that I was not going to suffer through morning sickness this time, and I was going to get B6 and Unisom and start taking it right away. So I believe I started taking it in week 7. But yeah, I have been on it ever since, and it's helped a lot. And compared to last time when I was throwing up like all day long, this is very, very different. In week 7, we chose to do the sneak peek early DNA test to find out baby's gender. This is definitely just for fun because there are a lot of incorrect results out there, but it wasn't too expensive and it was something that I just wanted to do. So I did the at-home Lancet one. They also have like a bracelet one, a snap one that you snap on and it takes your blood. I probably should have opted for that, but it's fine. It's done. Also during week 7, I threw up for the first time and food aversions began. Basically nothing smelled good, tasted good. The sound of food was disgusting, so it was very hard to eat. It was really not fun. I basically lived on chicken broth and grilled cheese, which, side note, because I have hypoglycemia and carbohydrate intolerance, I'm on a low carb diet. And so I can't just eat carbs all day long. I have to eat fruits and vegetables and other things. So it was definitely very difficult to navigate trying to be low carb and eat food during morning sickness. By week 8, I had to start eating water crackers or saltine crackers in bed before I would get out of bed, or else I would just throw up at the beginning of the morning. And this happened also in my daughter's pregnancy, so I was expecting it to start. I started craving salt, butter, cheese, and tacos. I wanted tacos and I wanted my tacos with tomatoes. It was a very, very strong craving. I also really just wanted fast food. And again, because of my hypoglycemia, I really can't eat fast food because I can't eat sugar and I can't eat starch. And so without being able to read a full ingredient list, it's really hard to eat out. So that kind of annoyed me. We did get our sneak peek results and they did come back as a boy. But boy results can be contaminated, and so you can't really trust it. So I started wrapping my mind around the fact that it might be a boy, but we didn't really know. In week 9, I suddenly felt a little less nausea and more energy, so that was awesome. But no fear, week 10 came and I was throwing up again. So I had to start taking my double dose of Unisomin B6, so I take it in the early morning when I wake up and I take it at night before I go to bed. I also was supposed to have my first midwife appointment at week 10, and she was going to listen to the heartbeat and take our blood draw for the NIPT test to confirm the gender and also check for all the other trisomies and things. But I ended up having a cold, so we had to postpone our appointment and I was so frustrated, but it's fine. Week 11 and 12 were kind of up and down with some nausea, and then in week 12, the exciting thing was we finally got our midwife appointment and it was awesome. She came to our house. She was just so sweet, so amazing. I adore her. She was super sweet with my daughter, which was so fun to see them interacting and how she let my daughter like take part in it, and it was so cool. She used the Doppler to find the heartbeat just for a second. She said, I might have another anterior placenta because it was so hard to find the heartbeat. She did do the blood draw for all of my regular labs and for the NIPT test. So that got sent in. The final week, what I call the final week of the second trimester, week 13, I started seeing a chiropractor, which prenatal chiropractic is amazing. I will talk more about that in the future. And we also got our NIPT test results. They are awesome, and it was confirmed that we're having a boy. So that's kind of the first trimester highlights in a nutshell. I gained 6 pounds during the first trimester, which is very different from my daughter. I lost like 13 pounds back then because I was throwing up so much. So that's the downside of not throwing up so much, is you actually gain weight. But that's okay. My belly's measuring a little bit ahead of where I was the first time, but that's also not surprising because it's the second time around. So those are the excitements of the first 13 weeks. I started my belly book, which I adore these so much. I love doing this with my daughter, and it just keeping track of your aversions, your cravings, things that are happening in each week, and put a picture. I do take a belly picture each week. I just haven't printed them out to put in here yet, but I like to mark my weight and my belly size each week and just any notable symptoms and things like that. And it's so awesome because you can put like ultrasound pictures and fun little things in here. So this is such a great keepsake to have. I will be doing another video after this one talking about my favorites and supplements and survival products for the first trimester. One of them that I just have loved so much is the Mama Natural Week by Week Guide to Pregnancy and Childbirth. I have been loving this and reading it week by week. There's so much great information in here if you are a natural or crunchy, holistic minded person. For me, it's been a must have. So in just kind of a summary of like what I want to do differently this time than last time. First, I'm seeing a midwife instead of an OB. If anything comes up where I will be medically indicated, then she will transfer my care to an OB. But for now, we're doing awesome with just the midwife, and she is fantastic, and it's so different. Like the personal care and the length of your appointments and just how in-depth she is versus the OBs. It's so different and it's amazing. I'm so thrilled that I made that choice. We are also hoping to have a VBAC this time. So I ended up with a cesarean last time because I had previous doctors who told me I had to have one. And then I started doing research, and there are actually studies out that show that that is not necessarily the case. So I will still be consulting with my GI doctors, but I do believe that I am a good candidate for a VBAC. My midwife agrees, and if possible, we're hoping for it to be a home birth, but if not, we always have the backup plan of transferring to the hospital. So however it turns out, it'll be fine. There's a lot of risk with the VBAC, but there's also tremendous risk with a repeated C-section. So it's a hard decision to make, but for me, I feel like I missed so much not being able to labor and have that opportunity to birth. So there's a lot I would change about that. By seeing a chiropractor who can help get me aligned and going with a midwife and taking better care of myself, taking good supplements, getting exercises, taking natural birth courses and spinning babies and all of these things, I think I can prepare myself a lot better instead of kind of just going into the doctor each time saying, here, I am pregnant, I have a problem, fix me. And pregnancy is not a problem for them to fix. So I'm taking much more control of it and saying, you know what, my body does know what it's doing. I had a very good pregnancy overall last time, and so far this time it's going great as well. So while things can of course change, and we'll find out more at the anatomy scan what's how everything's doing and where the placenta is and all that, but overall I'm just going into this with a very different mindset. I've watched a lot of documentaries, The Business of Being Born, Why Not Home, and just kind of seen a lot of the not so talked about parts of OB versus midwife. And overall, it's just making this whole experience go a lot better. I'm staying a lot busier because I already have a kid now. So the time is flying by a lot faster, which is nice. Our due date is late April, and so it is a ways away and yet not so far away at the same time. So that's my first trimester update. I will be having a video on my supplements, my favorites, my survival for the first trimester coming up very soon, and then the second trimester I'll try to keep you updated as well. I probably won't be doing weekly updates, but I will try to at least highlight each of the trimesters as we go along. So that's what's going on. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.